Let's talk about making mistakes. You know what? If you're doing your job, you're going to be making mistakes. If you're doing anything, you're going to be making mistakes. Well, this is actually a very important professional communication skill. Here's a general principle. This is the way I say it to anytime I go into a job where I have subordinates. I'll say, look, if I mess up, I will fess up, I'll tell you. And by the way, if you mess up, you fess up too. And it'll be okay because we're going to make mistakes. And you have to be sincere in saying that. Well, what happens when one of your subordinates points out to you, or maybe in my case, a student in class points, hey, you made a mistake. Well, there are a couple of ways to handle it, an unprofessional way and a professional way. W. Edwards Deming, who was the father of modern quality, and the reason we have a lot of the high quality products at the lowest cost now, said this: the primary function of leadership is singularity of purpose and, watch this, to drive fear and hypocrisy out of the workplace. So if when you or I make a mistake and people tell us you made a mistake, if we respond by being defensive or hostile or embarrassed, well, that's not professional communication. The really great way to handle it when you made a mistake, say, boy, thank you for pointing that out. I'll see what I can do to fix it, and I really appreciate you pointing that out, and be very sincere about it. Here's another thing that Deming said that I think is very important as you think about, why did I make that mistake? Deming said that 95% of the time when mistakes happen, it's a result of an error or a problem in a process or a system. For instance, in some quizzes I recently did, I want to thank Melissa Priest and Patrick Minton, who are classmates of yours in this class, who pointed out to me that some of my questions were goofed up and you couldn't get a right answer. Every answer, including the right answer, was wrong. Well, I began to think about why did that happen, and I came up with this conclusion. One is that I was getting that quiz out at the last minute. Have you ever done that before? And every question in Moodle, by the way, this is my first time to use Moodle, and I'm learning as I'm going along, and naturally I'm going to make some mistakes. You have to be careful that every one of them has the correct answer checked. I also learned that in Moodle, if I have more than 4 choices, the 5th choice, which I put in one of them, it doesn't show up on your side. I didn't know that. Another thing about Moodle that I've learned is I can't beta test it, which means I can't go through and test it without you seeing it unless I go live. And so I'm putting it out there, and then once one of you has taken it, I can't retract it. So I'm learning, but that's not excuses. That's just, I'm looking through, why did I make that mistake? So I'm telling myself I need to learn from that mistake and move on. But I'm not threatened because I made a mistake. I'm a human being. I make mistakes. And by the way, I've been very successful in business at making mistakes and learning and moving on. Now, you won't be successful if you make mistakes and don't learn. But when you learn and move on, that's good. But what I'm really trying to get across to you is be open, be transparent. When people tell you you made a mistake, say thank you and appreciate that. In fact, one of the things I tell the people, I've always told people that work for me on my staff, would be, if you see that I'm making a mistake or I'm about to mess up, please tell me before I make the mistake. I really will appreciate that. So that's just a little bit about professional communication and making mistakes. Drive out fear and hypocrisy. You see, the two go together. If you put fear in people, the word hypocrisy is from 2 Greek words, one of which, hypokrites, it means to hide behind the mask. People will start hiding, and they will stop telling you the truth. I worked for a CEO once, and I asked him, what is the principal characteristic you'd like in your senior staff? And he said, I'd like loyalty. I said, wrong answer, boss. You're better than that. What you really want is truth. See ya.